Hi, welcome to PMP Integration Management webinar. I am CMR Chandra MR, a certified expert, PMP, Prince 2, COVID-5, DevOps, Agile Scrum Master. So the agenda of this webinar is to understand what is project integration management is all about and having the overview about integration management and the processes which are part of integration management. So project integration management. Project integration management is one of the knowledge areas in the PMP project management framework. So project management practices, project management framework, where PMP being a best practice well accepted across the globe, has 10 knowledge areas defined, 5 process groups defined, and 49 processes defined in the latest edition of PMBOK. So project integration management being one of the knowledge areas includes the processes and activities to identify, define, combine, unify, and coordinate the various processes and project management activities within the project management process groups. Project manager is also called as project integrator. Reason being, project manager should have a full end-to-end view of the project and do necessary activities required to manage the project by having end-to-end visibility. At any given point in the project manager should able to connect in terms of what needs to be done as defined. Is the project is progressing or not? That needs to be very much visible to the project manager, and that happens in project integration management. So integration management basically includes various trends and emerging practices which involves use of automated tools, use of visual management tools, project knowledge management, expanding the project manager's responsibility, and many hybrid methodologies. So tailoring considerations required while adopting the PMP project management best practice frameworks requires understanding the project life cycle of a specific project which is being done. The entire life cycle in terms of activities involved, it may be a product which is being developed. We should remember, in a specific product life cycle, in a specific service life cycle, or in a specific results what we are creating, which will be becoming a result of a specific project, that itself will have a life cycle. So introducing that product or service, you will have a project. While enhancing, while adding a module or modifying the capabilities of the product, you may require to initiate a project. To retire that product or services, you may require to initiate a project again. So basically what we are trying to indicate is, in a given product life cycle or service life cycle, there will be many project life cycles. When we say life cycle, there will be beginning, means a start date. There will be end, means end date, finish date. So beginning to end of a project is project life cycle, where multiple such project life cycles can be there in a single product life cycle or in a single service life cycle. So throughout that life cycle, you will come across many approaches required, like quality management approach, risk management approach, scope management required, cost management required, schedule management, procurement management. So for all this, there should be a specific approach defined as part of the planning, which will get integrated in integration management. So knowledge management plays a very important role in every project. So knowledge may be related to the project which are already done, already completed. So those knowledge can be used for the project which is currently running, and use that knowledge which is captured there here in the current project, so that current project you need not reinvent things or redefine something. Similarly, while doing project currently, you may require to capture the details of this project, whatever the learning you have, what went wrong, what went well, what are those processes, what are those challenges, what are those issues which has come across, and how they were resolved. So in a way, project management itself is a change management. So I'm saying this for a reason. Every project which is being producing a specific product or service will bring the change to an environment mainly. So means project management introduces, any project introduces a change to the environment, and project management should ensure these changes are done properly, considering the project environment and all those various different dynamics in project environment. Secondly, when I say change, we should also think about the change to the baselines defined to the project, which will happen while doing the projects. So we should not get confused between these two changes, the project which is bringing a change to environment versus the change which is happening to those baselines which is defined within the project. So both needs to be handled very carefully and both are not same. Then every initiative, every investment which is being done by an organization, that needs to be justified. So similarly, project will also have an investment which needs to be justified, and every project investment happens with the specific directions set by organization. So there will be a governing body which looks at a project to see whether this particular project is aligning to that directions what organization governance is set. So to ensure that there should be a project governance. Every project as it produce outputs in terms of products, output in terms of services, definitely will have an outcomes creating the benefits or value. In the absence of this benefit realization, in the absence of not understanding the specific benefits, realization of the value, if that doesn't happen, investment on the project doesn't make any sense. So this needs to be confirmed while taking up the project. These needs to be confirmed while project is being delivered. These needs to be confirmed in the post project stage as well. The product or service which have been created as part of this project should work, should perform in such a way that benefit realization should happen. Integration management processes. So project integration management has around 7 processes defined in PMBOK 6th edition, which is the latest one. This involves develop project charter, which is part of initiating process group defined in PMP framework. Similarly, develop project management plan is a process which is defined as part of planning process group. Direct and manage project work, manage project knowledge. These two processes are defined as part of executing process group. Monitor and control project work, perform integrated change control. These two processes are defined as part of monitoring and control process group. Whereas close project or phase is a process which is defined as part of closing process group defined in PMP. So develop project charter. As I mentioned earlier, develop project charter is a process which is in initiating process group. So the aim of this process is to develop the project charter. So which basically mean creation of a document, a formal document, which has to be developed, which should be helpful in authorizing the existence of the project. Which means assignment of a project manager will happen as part of this particular process. Project charter will be handed over to the project manager and formal declaration of assignment of the project manager will happen. It is very important to create a project charter before starting the project implementation, as the charter would provide a step-by-step high-level plan for the project. With the development of project manager gains authority over various resources that are applied to the project activities. By developing the project charter, one will be able to establish a direct link between the organization objectives and the undertaken projects. Develop project charter process. The inputs to that process includes business case, benefits management plan, agreements to define the initial intention for the project, then enterprise environmental factors, which are very important because project is happening in that environment. The legal, regulatory, market conditions, organizations culture, environmental conditions, social, stakeholders, expectations, their behaviors, then organization process assets. So organization process assets includes all the processes, policies, standards, templates, methods, historical information, the lessons learned from the previous project which is captured. So all these are required while creating a project charter. So tools used to develop project charter would be expert judgment, which mean involvement of those experts who are domain experts or who are very thorough about the specific topic or specific subject on which project is being done. So taking their inputs, taking their opinion and then including those points, whichever makes sense and whichever are required as per this suggestion into a charter. Then data gathering from all those inputs, what we mentioned, and also the details of the projects, what is mentioned relating to that specific data gathering. Then interpersonal and team skills. This requires meeting with many different individuals of different capabilities and understanding. Maybe stakeholders, if I say at the moment, whosoever the stakeholder one knows about, connecting with them and ensuring the details of that particular project relating to that project are captured using interpersonal and team skills. And meetings can also be done to collect those details. Outputs of this process develop project charter would be project charter itself is an output. And secondly, assumptions log. So what are the assumptions made, considerations made while developing the project charter, which has to be articulated. So next process, develop project management plan. Develop project management plan is a process in a planning process group. So this is the second process where the idea is to have a comprehensive project management plan. So as defined in PMBOK, Project Management Body of Knowledge 6th edition, which is the latest version, there are 10 knowledge areas as I mentioned. So each knowledge area creates a plan, develops a plan relating to that knowledge area. Like scope management will have scope management plan. Cost management will have cost management plan. Likewise, each of those knowledge areas will have a specific plans developed, but however, these plans are called as subsidiary plans. So all these subsidiary plans will get consolidated in integration management. So develop project management plan is a process in integration management knowledge area which consolidates all of these subsidiary plans. So this is the process of developing a project management plan, which includes defining, preparing, and coordinating other plan components to finally integrate them into project management plan. The key advantage of developing a project management plan is that it acts as a roadmap of all the team members. So this can become an ultimate reference while executing the project. This would provide the required directions and set the objectives clear. And the plan which is made initially would become a baseline. So this also provide a specific direction which helps a project to move towards the goal which is defined. And with that unified goal, a project delivery can become successful. So inputs to develop project management process would be project charter, which is an output of develop project charter process, which we just discussed. So develop project charter process is part of the integration management knowledge area. The output of that process comes as an input to develop project management plan. So outputs from other processes, as I mentioned, every knowledge area, rest of the knowledge areas, out of 10 knowledge areas, create subsidiary plans. So those subsidiary plans will come as an input to develop project management plan. Then, as I mentioned earlier, enterprise environmental factors and organization process assets will also go as an input to develop project management plan. So the tool used as part of develop project management plan are expert judgment, data gathering, interpersonal and team skills, and meetings. Outputs of develop project management plan would be number one, project management plan, which is a consolidation of all the subsidiary plans and detailing out and connecting those together to have a execution of the project become smoother and easier. This would be an ultimate baseline. Then next process is direct and manage project work. So direct and manage project work is part of executing process group in integration management knowledge area. So as part of this process, project management directs and manage project work, and this is an integrated process which will provide that visibility in entirety. So execution of work will be done by the team who are assigned to do that work. But project manager himself or herself will not go and do the activity there. So direct and manage project work process helps in directing and manage the project work and making required changes to meet the promised goals. With the correct direction and the management of the project, the probability of the project's success increases while elevating the deliverable quality. So this process is followed throughout the project lifecycle. So inputs to direct and manage project work are project management plan, which is the output of develop project management plan process within the same knowledge area. Project documents like change log, lessons learned register, milestone list, project communications, then project schedule, requirements traceability matrix, risk register and risk matrix, risk report, approved change request. So now you may ask the question, you may have the questions, where is this approved change request coming from? When I'm into direct and manage project work, which is the next process I'm looking at after develop project management plan. So if you visualize the project in entirety, in some part of the project, sometime there may be some deviation which is identified by monitoring and control process. While assessing or while doing an auditing, while testing, there may be some deviation which is found. So that needs to be corrected. To correct it, a corrective action has to be taken. To do that correction, there may be a change which needs to be done, and that will go as a change request to integrated change management process, which is in monitoring and control process group. Once that change request is evaluated, that change request will be approved, and that will come as an input to direct and manage project work to take necessary corrective action. So preventive actions can also be in the scenario of proactive measurements which is being done or foreseeing certain things happens. So addressing the root cause, you may require to do some changes. So like corrective actions, preventive action, defective repair. These are happening through change approval. So those needs to be implemented. As that as a input coming from integrated change management process, this has to be executed. That executions has to be directed and managed by project manager. Enterprise environmental factors will also come as an input. And finally, organizational process asset. So tools used as part of direct and manage project work are expert judgment, then project management information system, meetings. Outputs of direct and manage project work are deliverables, actual deliverables, which is coming out. Each deliverables which as per the planned schedule. Then work performance data, actual work performance data, how the project is working, how the project is executed, what is the status of it, what is being created, what is in progress at any given point in time. Issue logs. Issue logs are the one which used to capture all those deviations, corrective measures which needs to be taken, and this is managed by project manager, a tracker which is maintained by project manager to track those issue logs during the execution. Then change requests which are raised during the execution. Some deviations are found, some corrections are to be made. To do the corrections, there may be a change request raised for the deviation. Then project management plan updates. Based on those changes or based on the performance which are identified, project document updates and organization process assets updates. So why OPA updates or organization process asset updates? Reason being, there may be a learning, there may be a template defined that needs to go and sit in OPA. So this can be referred in any other project later or within this project as the project progresses, it can be reused, referring to OPA repository. So next process, manage project knowledge. So manage project knowledge is a process which is included as part of 6th edition of PMBOK. So earlier there was no specific process to manage project knowledge in the earlier editions of PMBOK. So this is a new process which is included from the 6th edition of PMBOK defined by PMI. So when I say knowledge, one has to keep in mind it's all about know-how. So when we say some people, as I observed, they say knowledge is equal to information, which is not true. Information basically gives you the message, whereas knowledge provides you the actions, the steps to do something, know-hows. So in a project, you may require to define know-hows. You may require to understand for resolution of something, what are the steps involved. For implementing something, what are the steps involved. So those are defined. So that should not be tampered. The integrity of that has to be ensured. Someone cannot just go and change those steps without any proper approval. So those needs to be correctly ensured. A specific knowledge which is being created for a project remains. So managing that project knowledge is very essential so that achieving the project objective as discussed, defined and agreed would be easier so that there is no ambiguity while executing. So this can also be used in the future learning and references. So it is primarily done by using historical or existing organizational data and updating, correcting the current knowledge, whichever is there. So that needs to be updated on regular basis. It majorly helps in leveraging the organizational knowledge and improving the project results. So as we discussed about, there may be something which is done during this project, which are defined that needs to be maintained for following. There will be something which we learned that also need to be captured and ensure that is not tampered. It is available whenever it is required in the current project as well as future projects which is being done in the organization. So inputs to manage project knowledge process would be project management plan, project documents like lessons learned register, project team assignments, resource breakdown structure, stakeholder register, and the deliverables which are happening during the execution of the project, unique deliverable throughout the project lifecycle, maybe a milestone deliverable, then enterprise environmental factor and organizational process asset. Tools used as part of manage project knowledge are expert judgment, knowledge management tools, interpersonal and team skills, information management. Outputs of manage project knowledge process would be lessons learned register, the creation of what are the lessons which are captured and reference to those. Then project management plan updates based on those learnings. Then OPA updates for future reference. Monitor and control project work. So the monitor and control project work process is part of monitoring and controlling process group in an integration management knowledge area. So this process helps in order to achieve the performance objectives as defined in the project management plan. This process is implemented to ensure all those deliverables which are being done in the project are according to what is defined. So in this monitoring and controlling process, the project is tracked, reviewed, project's overall progress is reported, which enables stakeholders to get the exact idea of the project status. So this process is performed throughout the project lifecycle and it acts as guide for the project manager to ensure that the project is on schedule within the budget, right? And also the resources utilization according to what is defined. Identified risks are monitored, managed according to what is agreed. Similarly, stakeholder engagement, procurement, communication, scope. So in all perspective, the 9 knowledge areas which we spoke about. So to reiterate on those 9 knowledge areas, we can remember as scope management, cost management, schedule management, resource management, quality management, risk management, procurement management, communication management, and stakeholder management. So monitoring and control project work will have the processes in all of these knowledge areas. So this process, which is in integration management, consolidates every control activities so that everything which is defined in all these 9 knowledge areas are noted, monitored, checked whether are they are happening as defined. Inputs to this process would be project management plan, project documents like assumptions log, basis of estimates, cost forecast and issue logs, lessons learned register, milestone list and quality reports, risk register and report, schedule forecast, work performance information. Work performance data was input, whereas here we are seeing work performance information, which basically a processed data to in a specific context of that particular monitoring and controlling project work activity. So other inputs may be agreement, enterprise environmental factors, and organization process assets. Tools used in monitoring and control project work are expert judgment, decision making, data analysis, meetings. It is very essential to collect those data, process the data, see how this particular project is being progressing, what is the current state, what was the actual one versus what is planned. So these needs to be understood so that necessary actions can be taken moving forward in the project. Whether should we do some corrections so that we can bring back the project to the track, or should we continue the way it is running? Outputs of monitoring and control project work would be work performance reports, change requests, project management plan updates, and project document updates. So work performance reports are created with a specific objective and context. Is this report is used to discuss with the team? Is this report is used to update the management? Is this report used to update the customer for review? So based on those context, work performance reports are created and templates of those are defined as part of the plan. So change request is an output, reason being there may be a deviation which is found while monitoring and controlling the project work. So to do the necessary correction of that particular deviations which is found, change request would be raised. The process 6 is perform integrated change control, which is a process which takes a change request as an input and checks whether this change makes sense. So there is something called 7 R's of change, which we discuss while doing the service management. So that is who raised the change, what is the reason for the change, what is the return from the change, risks of change, responsibilities of change. Likewise, we define 7 R's. There should be an answer to those 7 R's. So this process is performed to control the various change requests received throughout the project lifecycle. All the change requests, approved changes, modification of final deliverable, project documents, project management plan, etc. are reviewed. Performing this process helps in keeping an integrated document containing the list of changes while assessing the overall risks which might arise due to the new changes. So inputs to the process would be project management plan, which is basically change management plan, configuration management plan, scope baseline, schedule baseline, and cost baseline. Project documents, which is basis of estimates, requirements traceability matrix, risk report. Then work performance reports like resource availability, schedule and cost data, earned value reports, burn up or burned on charts. Then change request, which is required for corrective action, preventive action, defect repairs, or any updates. Then enterprise environmental factors and organizational process assets. So the tools used as part of perform integrated change control would be expert judgment, change control tools, decision making, and meetings. So and lastly, data analysis. So the outputs of perform integrated change control would be approved change requests, project management plan updates, project documents and updates. If you look at the outputs very closely, the input was change request, whereas approved change request is an output, which means all those requests which are raised are checked. And if you recall, approved change request was input to direct and manage project work, which I explained from where that particular approved change request will come as an input to direct and manage project work. So once it is approved, implementation has to happen. That is the reason approved change request will go back to execution process group, direct and manage project work, and then execution happens, implementation of change happens. Close project or phase process, which is in closing process group, where the various project activities, phases, and contracts are finalized. It provides a control environment where project can be successfully wrapped up. The closing process includes the activities like preservation of the project information, completion of planned work, the release of involved resources, etc. But we should remember when we say close, it is not about project closure alone. So it's about phase as well. A project will have many phases. So closing that phases, while closing that phases, close project phase. The same process is triggered. The inputs to this process would be project charter, project management plan, project documents, and accepted deliverables. Other inputs would be business documents like business case, benefits management plan, agreements, then procurement documents, and organizational process assets. The tools used during closed project or phase process would be expert judgment, meetings, and data analysis. Outputs of closed project or phase project would be project document updates, final product service or result transition, final report, and OPA updates. If you closely observe this list of outputs, you don't see an accepted deliverable as an output. You don't see the results of project as an output. It is a final product, service, or result transition, meaning the acceptance of this particular product or service or results, which is created as part of the project, is already shown to customer, to the stakeholders, and necessary sign off required is obtained in terms of acceptance. So only then close project or phase process will be triggered. To complete all those necessary activities, required to formally declare the phase of a project or project in entirety is complete. So that's what the integration management knowledge area defined in PMI's PMBOK 6th edition, which is part of Project Management Professional Certification Program. Thank you.